So, Carl-san, welcome to this my YouTube channel.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Carl-san, my listeners don't know you at all. So, can you talk about yourself? Who you are, why you are in Japan, what do you do?
All right. I originally came to Japan over 20 years ago, and I studied Japanese here and there, and I learned from people on the street and people that I hung out with and people that I worked with, bits and pieces, just enough to get around Japan comfortably. And the longer I stayed, the more comfortable I got finding people, pockets of people that spoke English, right?
Mm.
And it came to a point to where I finally had to face it and go, I really need to learn this language, right? Just
Mm.
makes more sense to buckle down and learn the language.
Mm-hmm. And Carl-san, by the way, like which state are you from and why you came to Japan? Like when and why you came to Japan?
I came to Japan originally. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I came to Japan as a member of the United States Navy.
That was a first
Right.
actually
It's
opportunity.
U.S. Navy, yes.
Mm-hmm.
About 5 years ago, I went back and I went back to go to school, to go to college
Mm-hmm.
and get, and I studied Japanese there with the intention of coming back to Japan.
So you went back to the States and then you came back to
I went back to the States,
Japan.
got my degree, and I came back to Japan. Yes, when I came back here, I came back with the intention of going back to work, right?
Mm.
Right. And what really pushed me over the edge was finally on the train. I'm watching a kid. Kid couldn't have been any more than 6 years old, if that, having a full conversation with mother, aunt, and another friend, and they were having a full conversation, laughing, joking, going back and forth. And I'm looking at it like, wow, I understood a few of the words. Like, how, if this kid can speak this language that well, there's no excuse for me not to be able to, right?
Mm.
Right. You got to figure a kid 6 years old has only been speaking about 4 years, if that,
Mm.
right? So, and
Mm.
you've been here long enough to understand and do that.
Mm.
So, no more excuses. Knock it down. Let's get to it.
Yeah, amazing. And then Carson, so the learning experience, can you actually share like what kind of things you have tried before visiting Japan Language Factory?
Before I came here, I started with just conversational Japanese in life and at work, back and forth, basic phrases, which were easy enough to understand
Mm.
and easy because I lived here. It's easy to adapt the intonation and the
Mm.
situation in Japanese. You can say it the right way at the right time. But anything outside of that structure, I would struggle, right? So when I went back to the States and went to college, I minored in Japanese because I figured, okay, I got enough that I can get started with this. The difference was in school they're teaching you to a test, basically,
Mm.
this and this, regardless of how useful it is in day-to-day life, right? I could understand how to regurgitate what you told me to
Mm.
say, right? But after the test, without using it, it's gone again.
I'm sure a lot of American people actually expecting, okay, now I sign up, college course 2 years. When they finish, I'm gonna be able to speak. They have this expectation basically, right?
Yes, basically, yes.
What they're expecting after the college course.
To be honest with you, I think I only know one friend of mine that went in with that expectation, and but he put in hours and hours and hours into his courses, so he really locked into Japanese completely, and he's fluent. He can read and write kanji, but
Mm.
that's one person out of 150 that I knew, right? So
Mm.
I think it's the same as when I talk to my Japanese friends and they go, I said, I heard you studied English in school. They go,
Mm.
it's a pin. This is an apple. Like, oh, nice, but that's all right. That's what you
Mm.
got, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is common, like a really academic, like textbook study. So
Correct.
you came back to Japan, you feel like you couldn't speak Japanese very much confidently.
Right.
So, a lot of people actually live in Japan, but also difficult to decide to really, learn Japanese. Kyle-san, like you came to Japan, I'm sure there are some period of, struggle. How much
Mm.
you struggle, like when you came to Japan and you start working and you have a child, it's difficult, really to focus on studying.
The difference is the study was difficult, but I didn't approach it as a study. I kind of, again, in my environment, the people around me wanted to, it seems now they were learning more English from me than me
Mm,
learning Japanese from them. All right. So they
mm,
were allowing me to speak English, and their English was getting better, but my Japanese was non-existent. Right. And then
mm,
when I finally looked at the situation and go like, wait a minute, right? It's my turn. I need to be learning as well. Right. So then I start trying their language and they try to help you. But again,
mm,
Japanese is not a one-to-one like English. Japanese is you talk to a man this way, you talk to a woman this way, you talk to a child this way, use this word in this situation, this word. Wait a minute, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? There's no way you can
mm,
get that from a course, right? You have to actually
mm.
dig in and study.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure majority of Japanese people, they were willing to learn English more than they're willing to teach Japanese to foreigner. It's difficult to teach anyway.
Correct, correct.
That's why if
One
you just come to the Japanese society, oh, like, oh, you are American. Yes, let's speak English. Is I think it's more majority than, oh, I'm gonna teach you Japanese, right?
correct, correct. Actually, that plus one of
Mm,
the disadvantages is the Japanese society is so polite to
mm,
whereas when you say something in Japanese, even the wrong way, they'll compliment you on your Japanese for trying, right?
mm.
So I got caught in a spiral saying something the wrong way so long, and people were just, I know what you're trying to say. Oh, you're trying so hard, so let me just go with it.
And
Mm.
yeah, so how was the experience in this master course? And then if you just pick up some differences, what was the differences? Like just a really common, like a flashcard and the Duolingo style of learning versus our learning. What do you think? What is a was a huge difference?
The first difference is Duolingo. It does help a lot with hearing the words, hearing the pronunciation, and hearing the vocabulary and learning. But that is only in how much you put in it, and you can't customize it to your situation. That's one of the biggest things that I appreciated about Japan Language Factory is that the first question was, okay, what are you trying to learn Japanese for? What situation would you like to study right now? What's going to affect your life immediately, right away? What can you see dividends with? And I go, oh, well, Chico Shoka, I want to introduce myself in a business setting. We spent my first few lessons just doing exactly that. So I could see the feedback right away. I memorize it, intonation, how to say it, how to deliver it, when to pause. And I saw the feedback right away. So, okay, this is the right place for me. And then I just dug in from there, right? Another difference is other courses that the best part to me again was other courses you have the one-on-one, which people love one-on-one. I do too, but as me, I kind of feel much better when I can see how I stack up against other people that are doing the same thing I'm doing. If I'm going too slow, if I need to study harder, or if just to see how good we can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first group lesson I came in, I heard the different people and I heard the different levels and I heard this, I saw the smiles, you feel the warmth, and it's kind of like, okay. I mean, no one person dominated the conversation. You narrated perfectly. Everyone got a chance to speak, no matter what the level was, and all the questions were answered. And it felt good. It felt nice. You don't get a group session as a plus, right?
Mm,
Usually you get a one-on-one Japanese session. Here's your time start, here's your time end. But this one has that plus a group session, plus feedback, plus your daily life. Then you can go home and do your Duolingo on the train and add more questions to your next lesson, right? So the meat for me, the meat of the meal was Japan Language Factory. The
mm,
seasoning, the Duolingo and the textbook and meeting people on the street, right? So it all came from this. This is what takes it all, what carries it all, right? For me, right?
mm. Thank you so much. I always say learning Japanese in Japan Language Factory is just a playing basketball. It's the same. You can do one-on-one dribble and passing, only two people, right? It's
Right.
easy. It's easy, comfortable, but sometimes you need to play with the other, like maybe much stronger player or maybe
Mm,
much weaker player, and you can understand how who are you, like right when you're actually playing with 10 people, 20 people, at the same time, you can understand what are you doing. Maybe you have to make more effort, or you can learn from other player. Wow, he playing really good, and I
right.
can learn something. So it's like a playing basketball. It's a simply you have to play with a lot of people. You can learn, but also if you want to really precisely want to practice something specific things, you can do one-on-one. So it was this combination. So thank you so much. You really like this style.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Kara-san, what is your plan now? I mean, the future. You're gonna stay in Japan, or what is actually expectation for you the next future, like 10 years, 20 years when you see yourself?
Well, to be honest with you, I see myself being fully bilingual,
Mm,
fluently bilingual. And now that I see that I can, and I see a path towards that, I can actually apply myself daily and grow daily, and I can see that happening. And in my experience, the more effort you put, Japan is actually an easy place to live, even with just English, right?
mm,
But the more effort you put into understanding the culture and the language, it actually gets even easier, right? It's even
mm.
better.
People who just visit Japan, or they just start having a life in Japan, they feel like I don't know anything. They maybe start feeling like I need to learn some Japanese language, but it's like, oh wow, textbook is so difficult and learning kanji is difficult. So do you have any advice to them?
The best advice I could give you is if I could do it over again, what I would do is I would pay more attention from the beginning. As people are nice to you and say, "Oh, you don't speak Japanese, it's okay," and they just speak English, I'd actually still try. Ohayou gozaimasu, ohayou gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. Just learn each situation, intonation, pronunciation, and situation, and then you'll start to grow by yourself. But it becomes a point where you look at yourself and you decide either I'm going to stick to English or I'm going to learn Japanese. We all
Mm,
face that same situation. Everyone here has faced that situation. That's what brought us here in the first place, right? But yeah, it's up to you. If you want to learn, then you buckle down, right? Your situation will tell you, I need to learn or I can get by on English. Everyone that
mm,
comes to you decided they want to learn Japanese. So they've taken the first step by coming.
amazing. Thank you so much. Making decision. You want to learn or not, right?
Right, up to you.
Exactly. Are you expat? Live in Japan? You started living in Japan, you're super excited to communicate with locals. You can enjoy traveling, meeting people. And now you start using this textbook and you feel like, wow, that's so many. Elementary school textbook, another elementary school textbook, and how many hours should you study? Let's think one more time. In order to communicate like a normal guy, you can do everything in the basic everyday life. Should you finish all those textbooks? Otherwise, you won't understand what they're talking. You cannot express yourself, anything. First of all, there are always two ways to learn languages. One is documentational language, the other one is conversational language. It's like, once upon a time, grandmother and grandfather are living somewhere. Or, hey, what's up? How's it going? Which is conversational. What is the most effective way to learn how to speak Japanese? Textbooks can't talk to you, so you cannot improve your listening skill and pronunciation, how to communicate. So why Japanese children can speak Japanese so quickly? Because they are learning conversational Japanese. The good news is, in Japan Language Factory, we have a specific learning structure to improve your conversational Japanese. So you can join the conversation, you can understand what they're talking, you can respond quickly, and express what you are thinking. If you want to be able to speak Japanese as soon as possible, join our free consultation to figure out what is the fastest way to start speaking Japanese.